forget it. I'm just out of here. I'm like, bruh, chill out. Hello lovers, welcome back to Travel Snacks. Today our journey takes us from Fort Lauderdale to West Palm Beach. Now, if you've been following my journey, you'll know that I've already been to West Palm Beach on this trip. There was a lot of problems when I was in West Palm Beach before, so I just left without doing anything fun. So this time I decided to go back and do a little sightseeing. In this episode, you'll find out if I stayed in Fort Lauderdale or left. We also go to the Greenmarket. There's a little surprise at the Christ Fellowship Church, and there's an even bigger surprise at the airport. There's also a lot of good food in this episode, so let's jump right in. Okay, so if you watched my last video, you'll know that I made it to Fort Lauderdale, but I wasn't sure if I was going to stay or not. Should I stay or should I go? I got to Fort Lauderdale. I drove down their main street, which is Las Olas Boulevard, and it was cute, quaint, like any other main street, lots of cute shops and restaurants, but it kind of just looked like every other great main street. So I just kept driving, and then I came to like a stop at the end, and it was really cool because I've seen this in movies and I've always wanted to see it in person. But it was one of those bridges that goes up and then the boats pass through. Boats are traffic too, so they need to get by. So it was just really cool to see that in person. And so I just waited there for a while, and then I went over the bridge and down towards the water. I drove by the water. It was beautiful, but I feel like I've seen a lot of beautiful water in Florida, especially when I went to the Keys and all those things. So I guess I was just kind of feeling like one of those, like, I've kind of seen this vibe before, so I decided, whoa, you're watching this video and you're not subscribed? Hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell, and then you'll know every time I upload a new video on this journey. And you might as well throw a like on it. Not to stay. I decided just to get back on the road and go back to West Palm Beach, and there wasn't really anything on my Fort Lauderdale list that I felt like I had to see. I did wake up super early in the morning though, and I knew I wanted to go to the Greenmarket on Clematis Street. That's like the main street in West Palm Beach. So I decided to drive over there just to check out the area. And when I got there, it wasn't open for another couple hours. But I did notice that on Havana Street, there was a free parking garage for the Greenmarket. So I was like, cool, let me go do some errands and then I'll come back. Well, when I came back, that hoe was full. And the reason is because there was like a ton of people walking around in pink, and come to find out there was a breast cancer walk that day. So, and it's awesome to see that, but also no parking. So what I decided to do is go to the end of Clematis Street. There was plenty of street parking on that end metered. And then I saw this parking garage that was only $2 for 4 hours. Can't beat that. But I didn't realize that the parking where I was at the far opposite end of the Greenmarket. As I was walking through, I did see all the booths, but it was more like shirts and beads and candles and all these things. And I was like, I don't care about these things. Where's the food? I kept just like looking around, and then I realized like further down, that's where all these other tents were. That's where the food must be. So let me keep it moving here. I got all the way down there, and then I saw like everything that you want to see at a farmer's market. The first thing that caught my eye, cider donuts. That sounds great, but when you go to a farmer's market, I always feel like you should make a one full loop before you start making purchases, because sometimes there's even better things as you go along. And once you get like a scope of what's all there, then you can decide how to spend your money, because otherwise you're just going to be buying everything. And when you're on a limited budget, you got to be choosy about what you get. I also saw a place that sells great coffee, and I mean, I don't know if it's great, but it said it was great. So I thought I was going to get that. There was just like so much. Oh, and there was this booth that was selling like fresh guacamole. Like the lady was making it in this big giant bowl just right there. But I was like, how am I going to keep that in my car? Like, I can't eat that big jar of guacamole. Ugh, I wanted to get that, but I didn't get that. And then I was walking along and I saw something that was really interesting that I haven't seen before. It was like a little triangle pastry type thing, and I was like, what is that? And made me like so curious. So I walked over there and I talked to the guy. I think his name was Boris. He was super nice and patient with me. I probably stood at that booth for like 30 minutes just looking at all the different pastries and asking a bunch of questions and talking to people that were buying them. If you want to check it out, you can go to artpieusa.com. And so what it is it's a vegan dough, and then they put it like with different stuff inside. So it's like an empanada, but slightly different. Like the dough is more soft. They have 28 flavors and they're all organic ingredients. The cool part is they're all named after strong women. And I think that's a cool concept. The owner of this company is a woman, and they do have an actual store in Miami. So I got this card while I was there. So on the back of the card, it shows all the names of the pastries. Lucille Ball, Mother Teresa, Cleopatra. They had free samples. Let's see. I tried the Cleopatra, which is chicken, curry, and fresh mango. Delicious. And also I tried the Amelia Earhart, which is ham, mozzarella, and hearts of palm. Also delicious. I stood there for a long time, and then I was like, I'm pulled between the Harriet Tubman, scrambled eggs, bacon, green onion, tomato, and mozzarella, and the Celia Cruz. And the Celia Cruz is guava and cream cheese. These pastries were $6 each. I wasn't about to spend $12 to have 2 pastries. I said, you know what, I'm gonna go with the savory one. So he put it in the toaster oven. Finally, mine was warmed up and ready, and so he handed me the bag, and it felt a little heavy, and he's like, I went ahead and put in the Celia Cruz as well, so you can try sweet and savory. I was like, that is so nice. 2 for the price of 1, and that always makes me happy. So I was gonna go back to that fancy coffee place, but I'm just a sucker for Cuban coffee. I just love it. And I can't always get that all the time. So I saw this little booth that said Havana Restaurant, and it had Cuban sandwiches and coffee. So I went over there and I ordered a cafe con leche, extra sweet, and it was perfect. The Havana Restaurant, they've been around for 25 years. They were voted best restaurant of Palm Beach County. They were voted top 10 Cuban sandwiches in Florida. That makes me want to go back and have the Cuban sandwich because I only had their coffee. They're also open 7 days a week, and they have a 24-hour window that you can get the coffee. I mean, that's amazing. I love that. Not that I could drink coffee in the afternoon because then I would be up for 12 days. But that sounds great. So anyways, I got the coffee. And then I just went and found like a nice little spot, and it was just like a nice day. A little bit cold, but just nice. Ate my pastries and had my coffee. Okay, so here's my review of the Artpie. The Harriet Tubman was really good. I'd say that I don't ever salt my food, but I would say that for me personally, I think it was a little bit on the salty side, but if you like that type of flavor, then you would love it. And I still loved it. It was great flavors, but I feel like it could be a little less salty. And then the Celia Cruz, which was the guava and cream cheese, was really good. But I feel like the ratio between the jelly and the cream cheese was a little too jelly heavy. So I feel like they could have taken a little bit of the jelly out and it would have been perfect. And it was really a good filling breakfast. I highly recommend trying Artpie and Havana Restaurant for the Cafe Con Leche. 2 wonderful things. And then I walked over and sat by the water and drank my coffee. It was just a good vibe. I stayed there for a little while. And then I knew that I was going to do something really fun that afternoon. Go back to church at Christ Fellowship. They were having Joyce Meyer as a speaker. All right, so last night I had an amazing time watching Joyce Meyer. There were 2 services, one at 4:30 and one at 6:30. So I thought I was being slick. I'm like, okay, I'll get there at 4 o'clock and I'll be good to go. No, I got there at 4 o'clock, went up to get a seat, and the whole auditorium was full. They weren't letting anybody else in. And then they had like an overflow room that was outside of the auditorium. So it would have been like just watching Joyce Meyer on a big screen. And I was like, well, I could watch her on TV like that, so no. So I was like, all right, patience. And actually, though, I was like, dang. So there was like a bunch of people that didn't get in because it was already full. And this lady was like, so you're telling me that we have to watch it on a big screen? Oh, forget it. I'm just out of here. I'm like, bruh, you're at church. And like, also, it's not a concert. You didn't pay for anything, and chill out. Finally, at like 6:10, they started letting people back in to the next service, and I got the seat that I wanted because I knew I have like a nice view of the whole stage. So I was very happy about that. And the service was just really great. She made so many just like great points and just thoughts that I wrote down, and I'm like, you know what, that is good. But as I was sitting in church, my friend Ivana sends me a text, and she's like, where are you? Are you still in Florida? And I was like, yeah, West Palm Beach. She goes, how would you feel if I came out there and spent some time with you? I was like, yes, I love it, because as you know, I'm trying to keep my connections and make new connections. So she's like, okay, cool, let me look and see what I can do. And so basically, like, before church was over, she had sent me her itinerary. She booked a flight, booked a hotel, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna come out for a few days and you can stay in the hotel with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Jesus. Because like, that's amazing. Like, there'll be a couple nights that I don't have to sleep in my car. I love when people just do spontaneous things and just live life. I'll let you know what we get into. All right, so I headed to the West Palm Beach airport, and then my friend came out of the airport, and I was just like so happy. Like, when you're living in your car and you're all over the place, it's just so nice to see somebody that you just love and care about, and just like, oh, it feels like home. And I knew that like we were gonna have such a good time. We got there, we checked in, and the lady that checked in was super nice. And so we were like, okay, this is gonna be a good stay. We got into the room, and it was nice. Separate bedroom, a separate living room with a pull-out couch, and then a kitchen. And then we were hungry, and so we decided to go back to Clematis Street because that's where all the little restaurants are. And then at the very end, we found a place called Kises, and it's a Greek Mediterranean food restaurant. It's a very small place, and the menu looked good. They had so many different options. She got the chicken plate, and when you get one of their dinners, you get like pita bread, hummus, like it's a full-on situation. So if you go there and you're hungry, it's like, I think it was like 12 or 13 bucks, and it was a lot of food. I was not even that hungry, so I decided to get the chicken shawarma pita sandwich, and that thing was huge. Even like just this little sandwich, I thought it was gonna be just like a little pita sandwich. It was like a big gigantor, and that food was good, very good. It was a cool little environment. Even at night, that Clematis Street has like lights and little games that you can play on the street. It's really cool, like it's a nice vibe. And so we just hung out there for a while, and then it was getting kind of late, and she had a long day, so we decided to go back to the hotel room. So we get back. I knew I was going to sleep on the pull-out couch, and they had sheets, but they didn't have a blanket. And so we called down, and we were like, can we get a blanket for the pull-out couch? So they come up with this, I don't even want to call it a blanket. It was like a piece of foam. And she answered the door, and she was like, what is this? And the guy was like, this is a blanket. She's like, that's not a blanket. And so she's like, you don't have anything else? He's like, no. She took the blanket and brought it in. And then I was like, ew, that's weird. It feels scratchy. And so we called back down, and we were like, can we just get like a comforter that you put on the regular beds? And they're like, we're out. How you gonna be a hotel and be out of comforters? Like, you're a full hotel. That's what you do. You have beds and people sleep there. Like, how do you not have an extra comforter? Like, I think they were being lazy. I picked up that blanket that they brought, and it was damp. It was gross. It like felt scratchy. It was like foam squishy, and it was like weird, and so I just like threw it on the ground and kicked it aside, and we were cracking up because it was funny, but also not funny, because I was like, okay, wait, I don't have a blanket. So you know what, I'm resourceful. So I was like, listen, they're not being cooperative or helpful, so I'm gonna go down to my car and get my comforter, which I love. I had my comforter, and I had a good night's sleep. In the morning, we woke up and we went down to their free breakfast, but it was like weird. The West Palm Beach hotel that she booked wasn't really the move, and also I was telling her that there's not so much to do in West Palm Beach, and she was like, yeah, well, pretty much I can go wherever as well, because I can fly out of any different airport, and I have points that I can use for the hotel, so we don't have to stay here. So we were tossing around a couple different ideas, and I asked her, have you ever been to Miami? And she's like, no. And I was like, oh, well, I just came from there, and it's really cool, but it's Super Bowl, so it's going to be really busy. And I said, and also I was talking to this lady at the farmer's market, and she said that Naples is really beautiful as well. And so we talked about it, and we decided to go to... You'll have to watch the next video to find out what me and my friend Ivana decide to do. And I'm so excited to share it with you because it is amazing what happens.
TikTok.